Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Knowledge is Power. It is the day that we want to empower you with knowledge, with something that you can learn, take it with you to overcome the challenges that you may face. Today, I have a special guest here to talk about a topic that a lot of us may want to avoid. What happened to our digital assets after we die? When I was talking to her about it, it really struck a light bulb in me. I didn't even think about how to plan that. How do I actually work out and tell my family about my digital legacy? Because yes, it's true. A lot of us have one online business today. So what do we do if I'm dead? So today I have Desiree here coming to our platform to share with us her expertise. Desiree, please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Hello, and thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Martha. I'm Desiree Beekharry, and I'm from Desiree Beekharry Coaching. Have quite a few nicknames, but one of them is the Dead Girl. The other one is the I'm Dead Now What Girl. And as you can see, I am still alive, and my background. Official title is Dr. Desiree Beekharry, and my background is in disaster management. Death isn't quite a disaster, it just is project management and tourism management. That's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
That is amazing because I was very intrigued about what you do. It's like, I'm dead, now what? And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like, I don't think my family would know all my password and things like that going into my Facebook, my Instagram account, and all of those, like, especially with my crypto account and things like that. I don't think any of them know. Like, so please explain to us what is digital assets to people.
Well, look, you're right. I do. My topic is quite an uncomfortable topic.
Mm,
Who wants to talk about their death, right? And we don't want to go through our lives thinking about death.
mm,
I mean, certainly not, and certainly not our own death. And while death is inevitable, especially when you've got kids, you do need to think about it. And we do have to have those uncomfortable conversations about it, or
mm,
things just, because, and we don't want to talk about it because death does remind us about how fragile we are. For example, when I was pregnant with my child, I got hit by a bike, and little one arrived early, and this, and as soon as she started to play with my makeup and jewelry, I started to give her motherly advice and tell her, you know, um, should she leave home without anything, like she should remember to always wear makeup, for example. Because I think a girl should always have makeup on. She doesn't have to have lots of jewelry, but having nice or makeup, but having a nice lipstick on makes her stand out as a woman. And I was very particular about that. And now
mm.
she's grown up, she's got a daughter of her own. But our fragility, I just said that. I used to give her the certain advice because I always think we do not know how long we've got. While you don't want to end up having to live with the fear of death, it is something that can happen. So for me, having had with children, I always make sure that um, I give them those little gems because I don't know how long I've got. Anything can happen. So it is an uncomfortable topic, and digital legacy is one of those things that we need to talk about. All right, we do need to talk about it.
So what is digital assets to people? Because for people who doesn't really know, and a lot of us that don't think that we are in the digital world still, but we are using it. So what are some of the digital assets that are normally that we will face?
Okay, so anyone who has, I mean, if you imagine how many times do we go online to download something, upload something, buy something, look into something, request something, and they ask us to register. Okay, you've got a digital account. Okay, you've got an online account. Now imagine all your social media accounts, whether you're on social every day,
Mm,
every week, every hour, you have a footprint. So that's a digital account. And not only is it an account, it's an asset. All right.
Mm,
And as soon as you have an asset, it has worth. So,
mm,
what do I mean by that? If you have a Facebook, TikTok, Instagram account, whatever, you've got pictures, reels, photos, things that will be valuable for someone should you not be here anymore. The problem is that if you were to pass, or if you were to want to need to shut that down, how do you go about it? Who would be allowed to shut that down? Well, if unless you've given any of these companies the person who has the right, you've given them the right to go into your account and have it shut down, have it memorialized, whatever, it won't be. It
mm,
won't be. So your account will still be there. For example, I have a client whose husband was a lawyer, and he was brutally attacked and
mm,
was killed. And for several months while she was grieving and dealing with the trauma of the way her husband died, she kept seeing his Facebook feed come through time after time after time. And she kept trying to get Facebook to shut down his account, but she couldn't. She got a lawyer to involve, and it took them 8 months to get that shut down simply because she did not have the right to do it. So it took a lot of red tape and paying lawyers' fees, which is not cheap, to actually, after all this time, to get that account memorialized. And you can't just do that to any social media. That's one of the examples. Another example is, for example, if you have for example, a YouTube account. One of my clients came through and said, Desiree, can you please help me? Because sadly, their son was 18 years and 3 months. For his birthday, when he turned 18, they offered him a trip to go interstate, to go to the next state for his with his mates for a trip. Their son had a car accident and was killed. Now, at 18 years, who thinks of making a will? Okay, he didn't have one. What he did have, however, was a YouTube account that was monetized. The YouTube account was monetized. That money was going into a PayPal account. Now, upon the son's death, and when they finally got it, not that you ever get over the grief, when they actually managed to collect themselves, they realized that that YouTube account is still making money, and PayPal was collecting a huge amount of money. But because the son didn't have a will, let alone a digital estate clause, they couldn't access the YouTube account to shut it down. They couldn't access the PayPal account, which has lots of money in it. So these are the things when I mean by social media. Now, those same kind of accounts, anything that's online, it would be your cryptocurrency, as you quite rightly
mm,
mentioned earlier on, would be your investment accounts. If you are a business, for example, you're a photographer, you're a filmmaker, you're a video maker, you have domain names, you are a business person, all of them, these or your domain names, all of those have assets, have value. And whether they are sentimental value, whether they are actually financial value, whatever kind of value they have, you need to make sure they're protected, because otherwise you can't access them, or no one who is in your family can access them if something were to happen to you. So I speak very, very passionately about this because, can I tell you, Martha, why I ended up doing this? Is
yes,
this okay
please
if I
do.
share this?
Yeah, please do.
Because I'm one of the hats I wear is that I'm a return to work coach.
Yeah.
And I had a client who came to me and said, Desiree, I need to go back to work. I said, okay, let's look into it. And we were talking, and she said, Desiree, I am a millionaire. And I thought either this lady is showing off, or there's a reason why she mentioned to me, I'm a millionaire. So, so she was begging for me to ask the question, well, why do you need to work? So I said, so are you working for the love of it, because you really want to work and you've always worked? She said, actually, no. She said, my husband passed away. And after he passed away, while I was putting his things away, putting his affairs in order, going through his drawers and with all the paperwork, I realized he had an online account and it had $3 million in it. But I couldn't access it because I didn't know how to access it. And she said she even went as far as hiring an ethical hacker to hack
mm,
into that account. But because it had such top level protection, it was not penetrable. So she said, so technically I'm a millionaire, but I have to get a job because I don't have enough money to pay for the mortgage and to
mm,
support myself. So, and then I've had, this family with the YouTube account. And then I started thinking there's a pattern being repeated here. All these
mm,
women are women um, who they are boomers, baby boomers, or they came in and we were all using things online. Well,
mm.
we know how to use what's online, but do we know how to protect it? And we
Yeah.
don't. We
Mm.
don't. And that's what made me do the necessary research to be able to put that online course that I have called 21st Century Digital Estate Planning. So that's how it came about.
That is amazing because it is so true. It is something that we don't like to talk about. It is something that we think that it will never happen to us. But the truth is, it is going to happen. That's just how it is. So, what are
Yes.
some of the misconceptions about digital asset and how to adjust them?
Okay. Misconception number one is my partner, my mother, my cousin, my sister, my brother, whomever it is, has got all my passwords so I can access it. I would say it's not a myth, but it's a misconception that no, you can't. If somebody dies and you go into their account, this can be traced. And if this is done after their death, you're committing fraud. All right. And especially if you've got family who's fighting for money, and they
Mm,
can prove that you've gone into an account after someone has died, you are not legally allowed to go into anyone's account unless you have legal permission. Do not
mm,
do it. You will be done for fraud. And that is
mm,
something that you can prove. So don't think because they've given it to you,
mm,
you are in the clear. First thing. Second thing is, if you have got a will and the
mm.
only living person who you're giving all your money and all your assets to is, let's say it's your partner.
Yeah.
Um, well, a will upon death becomes public document. Do you really want to leave all your passwords to your accounts in a public document? No.
Mm,
The answer is no. And that's an international law. As soon as a will is left, it becomes a public domain and it has to be. That's how it is. And if that will becomes available, people will look at it to it, especially hackers. You can be sure they are
mm,
running their programs through looking at who's dead, what will do they have. And if your will does not contain a digital asset clause, no one can touch your online assets. It doesn't matter if you're the only beneficiary, if there are 55 beneficiaries, no one can touch that unless there's a digital asset clause. Having a will doesn't mean it protects your digital assets. Digital assets are quite separate, and you don't want those to go together because that will becomes public upon death. Okay,
mm,
so that's a misconception. So saying I've got a will and it's all taken care of, I've heard that so many times. I cringe, but it's not my place until I'm
mm,
asked. Okay. But now
mm,
that you've asked, I will tell you about this misconception. And the other thing is that um, nobody but needs to, even if you were to have that uncomfortable conversation with your partner or whoever, they don't need to divulge what they have. They do just have the conversation and say to them, son, honey, daughter, whomever, do you have a will and do you have a digital asset clause? I see you're making money on YouTube. I see you're making money on TikTok, on Instagram. Have you got that protected? Have you named, if you get really sick and you need this access to this money, do you know someone who can open this account for you, who has access to it, that can do that? Have those conversations. If they're making money and they're 18, you need them to make a will, because if they have children, they're making money. You need to have that will conversation. We don't know how long we've got.
mm,
Okay. And it's not just about death, it's about being in a coma, being
mm,
severely, getting really sick, being in
mm,
hospital. If you have a business and you have a domain name and someone stops your credit card that pays that domain name, that
mm,
domain name becomes anybody else's can buy it because you stop
mm,
paying. That means you don't need it. If you don't need it, someone else will take it. And if you've got a really good domain name and that becomes somebody else's,
mm,
then you've lost a lot of your business. So you have to be savvy about
mm.
how you manage your online accounts. I could go on with every single type of asset. All I'm saying is it's not as simple as we think it is. And remember, hackers are watching. They know when your account has been inactive for a certain amount of time. They will dig, they will see you're in hospital, they will see you have died. And if no
Mm,
one is touching your money after a certain time, they will. Do you really want your hard-earned money or your special drawings or your book or your videos or on all your intellectual property to go to anyone else, to go to thieves who can just sell it on as their own? No,
mm,
you don't. So I'm not playing fear tactic here. I'm just saying this is a reality that we have to face pretty much.
that is so true. So, what are some of the practical step to safeguard your financial resources and all those cherished memories for our digital assets course?
Well, look, what you can do, this is what you can do. Let me explain why you should have um, an inventory and a register.
Mm,
It's having putting these your digital assets and in order is a little bit like having a prenup.
mm,
Now we know that, Jane meets Robert and they fall in love. Jane is an heiress, Robert is a taxi driver. They meet, they fall in love, they get married.
mm,
Before they get married, they sign a prenup, yeah?
mm,
Now the prenup is all great. Jane and Robert live happily ever after for 5 years, and then
yeah,
suddenly happens that they get divorced.
yeah,
Now the prenup is I go with what I came with, you go with what you came with. Except
mm,
Robert doesn't want that prenup to be, doesn't want to agree with that prenup anymore.
mm,
So he goes to court. Now, the prenup doesn't guarantee Robert will get 50% and doesn't guarantee Jane will get to keep all of it. But what
mhm,
the prenup does, it kind of gives you a certain protection that if you were to go to court, the prenup, it could be that the Robert walks away with nothing. But what happens is this. Do you want to pay $2,500 or whatever amount it costs to make a prenup
mm,
and have a bit of a peace of mind? Or do you want to pay $250,000 to fight it out in court? The prenup is an insurance. Whether
mm,
it works out or not is not. The course I have online is $386.
mm,
It's a bit like having a prenup. It doesn't mean everything will be smooth, but it helps you put your affairs in order so that should there be a problem, you have a pathway. You have certain things in place that tells you that you could be protected. Either it will work, but if it doesn't work, you have things to fall back on. That's what
mhm,
the digital estate planning online course that I have. It helps you step by step to put it in place. If you don't want to do this online course, if you don't want to and you think, I'm savvier than that, I can sort it all out by myself, that's good. What I would suggest you do is make sure that you go to your lawyer, your Wilson Estates lawyer. You say, I want to include my a digital estate clause in my will. The thing is, the lawyer will say to you, okay, give me all the paperwork you want me to give so that I can, safeguard it or put it and do these things. The thing is, you won't know how to do that because the lawyer doesn't want your codes or anything because that's putting him and you at risk. They don't want that. They want a certain process. You will leave saying, okay, I'll go take care of it. And you won't because you won't know how to do it. You won't know where to start. And then you walk away and not do it. And then before you know it, something will happen and you're back to square one. So I would suggest that you actually do an inventory of all your digital assets. This will help you do two things. One, it will help you to delete a lot of these online accounts that you really haven't looked at and used for a long time. If there's a voucher that's got a couple of, $25, $50 or $500 on it, spend it, get rid of it, do something with it, but clean it up and get rid of it. The accounts that you still need, please do an inventory and find a way of keeping this under control. And by under control means that you know what's their value, what's their worth. Have a conversation with someone with you, you know, of trust in your family, who you know will look after you and will take care of you and will not be at risk, put you at risk either, and then put certain steps in place, whatever you feel certain steps are. But don't just leave it till last minute, because that website that I have, the I'm Dead Now What, when you look at the picture of that woman with all the photos, her laptop, all the paperwork, that is how you're going to feel, and that's how it's going to be for you. Okay, so not only are you grieving, you're having to put yourself through all of this emotional stress, but then there'll be a lot of distress accompanied by that.
Mm. Okay, so your course that you mentioned is a self-paced one, or is there guidance in there?
It's self-paced. It's self-paced. I would say if you were to do it yourself, it's 2 hours, you know, all in one go, but it's not necessary. Do it step by step. You know, take in the information. Some will be easy coasting, others won't. But take it step by step, and take your time. I've done it in little bite-sized pieces, so you can follow it while you're making dinner, while you're, you know, doing something else, and you'll be listening to it. It's got videos, downloadable resources. Do it step by step and learn some bits about it. And it tells you how to go into these different social media accounts and those different accounts, how to do that legacy part, so that somebody will be looking after you. If anything happened, that person who looks after you is going to be will be named on these accounts, um, and um, and it's step by step. And look, I did this um, online course, and because I'm proud of it because I did the right research and I made it so that it's for people like you and me, Martha, and
Mm.
all women who are baby boomers or in that age range can actually not feel like, you know, they've been hard done by.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be hard done by.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you. Is there anything that we need to know about it when we are going through your course?
Look, I have a few goodies. I've got some free downloadable resources at least that explains what a digital asset is.
Yeah.
And what I've provided is that for anyone who signs up for the course, they can have, you know, they have a code. Then you can download something very special, which is I've got uh, two lists that they can have, that they can, like a template that they can use for their wills and estate template. And let me tell you what I call that. It's called, give me 1 second. It's called they are two, one is an inventory and one is a will template for your digital assets, okay?
Mm.
And if you give the code YTG40 plus,
Mm.
you can download, you know, you can download those resources, and they're free. They're valued at $55, but for the first 10 people who download the course and buy the course, they'll have that free plus the downloadable resource that's on the site itself. But look, at the very least, you need to understand what it means, your digital assets. And just to repeat, your digital assets are your email accounts, your social media accounts, your online banking accounts, your online subscription based accounts, e-commerce or marketplace accounts, for example, Amazon, eBay, etc. Your photos saved online or on a cloud, your online chat room accounts, your cell phone apps, your online dating or gaming accounts, online accounts for utilities, loyalty programs, benefits, any other personal information you store on your computer, your cell phone, or your tablet. These are the kind of things. And tell me you don't have some, if not all of those, you know?
Yeah.
So please remember that we are stuck in that digital world, whether we like it or not. And we
Mm.
shouldn't let it overwhelm and overtake us and
Yeah.
control our lives. Not at all.
Yeah,
So
I
I'll
hear
repeat
you
that
on that.
code. The code is YTG40 plus, and there's some goodies on there. So please use it. most importantly, educate yourself about what it means, you know?
That is beautiful. Is there any last things that you'd like to share with us today?
And look, I'm available to join for anyone to get in touch with me. I'm Desiree Beekharry. I'm on Facebook. You can DM me. You can go through Martha if you don't remember my name. You don't remember what I do. You just know you need to speak to me because somebody told you about it. Speak to Martha. Martha will orientate you where how to get in touch with me. Or if you know someone who should be hearing this, then send them to Martha's website or let them ask Martha. And if you don't remember who I am, Martha is the one who's actually taking care of this. I would say don't let anyone suffer if they're in strife. It's not worth it, and we deserve better. Our kids deserve better. Our partners deserve better. If we look after them in life, we should look after them even when we're not here. That's what I think.
That's a beautiful sharing there. Thank you, Desiree, for sharing all that with us. We will actually have all of this recorded and share in our YouTube channel, Yeah the Girl 40 Plus community. So if you need to actually replay this episode, feel free to share that link with your people so they can also benefit from Desiree's offering. Once again, thank you, Desiree, for being here today. And thank you to all our listeners and audience who have joined us today on Knowledge is Power. I look forward to see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Goodbye, everyone.